VGK seeks revenge as they host the Blues tonight after an earlier season loss, snapped a 9-game win streak for the Golden Knights. We have our predictions for VGK Blues, and it is that time again. It's time for WTF, What the Friday.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. You can find us on Twitter at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G. Spilling things here.
Yes.
Did you hear that?
I heard something.
Oh, yeah. We're good. At Locked On VGK. You could find us on YouTube. Of course, we are at Locked On Golden Knights. Please subscribe, all that. So back on November the 12th, Chris, VGK was feeling good. The Blues spoiled the party as they rallied from a 2-1 deficit late. They had a pair of goals within 40 seconds at around the 16-minute mark. Barbashev and O'Reilly, 3-2 win. They pull it out. That was VGK's 9-game win streak halted. What do you recall from that first meeting, as I tend to things here?
That we knew it was going to happen. The dreaded first game back from the road trip. And Tony, I can't believe we made it I can't believe we made it about 120 seconds into the show. You didn't point out the fact that St. Louis has 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of back-to-back games in December.
That's awful.
In November, they had
rigged.
1.
And VGK's
2,
home for the holidays again.
3.
What is going on here?
So they've had, you said VGK, how many? Okay, I know you
8.
know this.
They have 8.
How many has St. Louis had already this season?
Probably 22.
Close enough, 8. So I just found that kind of interesting. I'm shocked.
I find that so rigged. I find that rigged.
I'm shocked. Maybe I just blew one of your first What the Fridays. I don't know.
No, well, I was going to say that they're always home for the holidays. But
what do I recall about that game? You're kind of sitting there, right? And I believe VGK held a lead, if I'm not mistaken, in that game. I'll go back and
they had a lead. Yeah,
they had a lead in that game, and it's like, okay, fine, whatever. It's St. Louis, just kind of hanging out, Actually, no, they did. They were up 2-1. Like Brandon Saad scores in the first, right? Riley Smith gets a goal right after that, like less than 59 seconds after that. Riley Smith
2-1.
spots one. Kessel.
That's what I said.
Kessel gets the goal. Kessel. He scored like 1 goal since then. That's not good, Phil Kessel. But so yeah, it's just like the dreaded first game back from the road trip, and the comments after the game about adjusting from the time changes. Usually you get that travel day in between, blah, 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 blah. That's what I remember about that game. And the fact that it was a 9-game winning streak, and this is the one that snapped it, fine. But I probably was a little bit bitter in the sense that I was saying things like, it doesn't matter that it's St. Louis on a Saturday nights after a 9-game winning streak. These are points that need to be banked because you're going to need them. And, if you're going to give up a game to Pittsburgh on a Monday night, so be it, even though, we had a lead against Pittsburgh in the third and blew that too. But just making an example, you got to pot the easiest games that are on the schedule. This appeared to be one of those games. St. Louis was in worse form then compared to where they are now. They're doing a little better now at 500 and flirting with a playoff spot. But, it was a bad game to lose. So I guess I'm going to keep going back to my my Connor McDavid quote. We owe them a good game, right? We owe the Blues a game right now. VGK needs to make up for that loss a month ago, however long it's been, get 2 points and, take some momentum into the short holiday break that VGK is going to be home for.
Okay, so Riley Smith had one of his shorthanded goals, as you mentioned, 4th or 5 shorthanded goals.
Oh, I remember that goal. That was such a bad goal. Oh my God, I do remember that goal now.
Yeah, and then here's a number from the Seattle game, which St. Louis just lost. 63 shots against Seattle, 24 were on goal, 20 were blocked, and 10 missed the net.
Woo!
So did they trade William Karlsson to that team overnight? 10 missed the net.
Also for Tarasenko, we got a fan that thinks so, right?
Right. 5 points out of a playoff spot. Their 4-game win streak was snapped again against Seattle. In the offseason, they have some hefty contracts that they signed. So Robert Thomas and Jordan Cairo both were signed, each signed to 8-year contract extensions, which is crazy because you know how we feel about those one season wonders. And so they had career seasons. And oftentimes we've seen this happen so much around sports and the National Hockey League. So often players come back and they're not as productive. In any event, so Thomas had 77 points, 20 goals last season. Right now, he's around 30 points with 8 goals and 22 assists. And then Cairo last year, 75 points, 27 goals, and he's at 16 and 16 so far this season. And tonight, though, Craig Berube, who was out there taking faceoffs yesterday, just messing around. I guess it was against I forget who it was against. In any event, he was out there practicing faceoffs, but Cairo might not play tonight. He was working out. He's here in town, working out off the ice. Checked hard by Kyle Burrows in the game against Vancouver earlier this week, and it was Barbashev. That's who it was, who he was practicing yesterday on the faceoffs. But in any event, yeah, and they have a number of free agents. You mentioned Tarasenko, end of the season. You have Ryan O'Reilly, end of the season free agency. You have Barbashev, aforementioned, and those three will be free agents at the end of the season. Anything else to add about any of these players on this team? Is there anyone we might try to heist later on in the season?
Who knows? I mean, the Blues, like, this is a weird spot. Like, you look at a team like this, and someone, I forget who put this up on Twitter, but it was basically, would you rather be in a spot that the Nashville Predators are in, where you have basically this aging core that you're stuck with a long time, which you look at the Blues, they're kind of in the same ballpark. And they mentioned another team that's kind of in like a blank slate mode right now. It might be like Arizona or something like that. I forgot who it was. Where would you rather be? And, the Blues are kind of in that same boat where the Predators are, where this is going to be your team for a while, unless they're able to blow this whole thing up, which is not that easy in the National Hockey League, just to ship out. Let's look at some of these contracts. A $6 million contract, a $5 million contract, a $5.8 million contract, an $8 million contract, 3.2. Nick Leddy is making $5 million a year. Like, oh my God. I remember him with a short run with the Blackhawks. He's Nick Leddy, at least at that time, was Shea Theodore with no defense. Like, Shea Theodore plays defense, and he is a serviceable defenseman. And if Theodore did not have the offensive weapons that he has, Theodore would still have a good career in the National Hockey League. Whereas Nick Leddy, he's the opposite. I don't know. Maybe he's like Brent Burns, thinks he's a forward or something. But going back to that Blues game, you just mentioned Riley Smith's shorthanded goal. So here's how that goal goes down. And this is where I thought this game was actually going to be a rout when I saw this happen. Stevenson gets a breakaway. And everyone on the Blues is just watching. They just figure he's going to pot it, and that's going to be that, right? He doesn't get the goal. Puck shoots to the corner. Stevenson has all the time in the world to pick up the puck. 3 of the Blues that are on the power play, so there's still 2 other Blues on the ice, just all go to Stevenson, and he just basically makes a layup pass to Riley Smith coming through the slot, and then Smith takes it, just sends it home. So hopefully their special teams is still that poor. And I mean, our power play is going to get the job done, it seems like, right? We can count on our power play to hopefully convert at least 1 goal a game for a while. That's the path that it seems like that we're on. And again, tonight, make your layups, take care of the net, and limit those mistakes, the little things. I can go on and on and on, but this is a game that VGK certainly needs to win, so we all have a decent taste in our mouth. If they win tonight, it's going to be a 4-game winning streak, right? 4-game winning streak because they got 2 on the road.
Yeah. Down the street. I mean, down the block. They don't even travel. This third line mismatch, Chris, it concerns me for VGK because VGK doesn't have a third line, number one. And then you look at the Blues, O'Reilly, Saad, and Levo, I think it is. Saad seems to always score against VGK. I think he's a VGK. Isn't he one of the VGK killers?
Not maybe as bad as David Perron was, sure, but Brandon Saad
Right.
Definitely can.
He always seems to score against VGK.
Yeah, and Brandon Saad, credit him. He's been around for a long time, drafted in 2011, it looks like, and is still out there with a $4.5 million contract. Although 7 goals, 2 assists, and if I had to guess, he's probably about a -18, but I don't know.
Talk about VGK again, just mixing up the lines, and we didn't see a lot of the players on the ice late again. I don't remember seeing Kessel very much in the last game. Last 2 games, he's been a ghost, I think, for VGK.
Yeah, I mean, well, he got on this. He got on the score sheet. He got an assist, I believe, in the last game. And what they wanted to bring up in yesterday's show, and I forgot.
Yeah, that
now,
was early though, right?
You reminded
Wasn't
me.
Okay,
It was
early,
the first
though.
power play. It was the first
Yeah,
power play goal.
Yeah.
But Mark Stone in his post game presser made a point to mention line 3 by name: Ronbjerg, Kessel, and Lecision, right? And Lecision having a good game. So
some of these play-by-play guys call him Lecision, like just very strange.
I have a baseball name I'm having a hard time with. He's a Yankee, or I don't know, Levitar. I don't know. It's a weird name, but I understand. Now, granted, I'm not paid to present these names on a national stage like some of these announcers are. Yeah, no, that's the thing. I go fast through it. I'll be like Mavarver, and then there's Alex Rodriguez. Like I'll play it off. I'll sell it. But what was the question?
I didn't have a question. Top line will probably look
like line mismatches. Line 3.
Top line for the Blues probably looks like now. Then Cairo, I think, probably will be a scratch. So he scores the power play. He has a hat trick. I think he had one on a power play in Seattle, and then he gets smashed up against the glass. And that's
what you get. That's what you get.
Okay. Yeah. Buchnevich, Thomas, Tarasenko, I think, will be the top line tonight for St. Louis. That poses problems too. I think there's mismatches aplenty tonight.
The Blues, I mean, on paper, they got a roster and they do have a Stanley Cup pedigree. That's something important. And it's always worth acknowledging their run to the Stanley Cup a few years ago, which they happened to beat Bruce Cassidy's Boston Bruins, unfortunately. And that went 7 games, and Cassidy lost that on home ice, didn't he?
Yeah.
Lost a Stanley Cup game 7 on home ice. But thinking back to the run that the Blues had, I mean, you got to give them a ton of credit. I mean, that was a team that was, I believe it was last place in the division in January, gets into the playoffs and wins a cup. I mean, that's an absolutely remarkable story right now. And there are some of those same players there. Jordan Binnington, last time he played us, he stood on his head. Although this season he's doing anything but that. 12, 11, 1, and he's a 311 goals against.
I want a goalie fight. Let's have a goalie fight tonight, please. 'Tis the season. Goalie fights. Could we please?
Brossoit would absolutely love it because he's going to hope someone sprains a wrist or something.
Okay, that would be nice.
That'd be nice. Jeez. I don't know. I mean, it would be fun, I guess. And I do joke that sometimes. I know you got something going on in your shirt there. What is this? Dasco slays.
Dasco slays it. I think.
Just tell me you didn't make that yourself. Tell me you got that sent to you randomly from a fan, please. You made that yourself, didn't you? That's okay. In our family, it's a Christmas tradition. We like making T-shirts. I make really terrible T-shirts for my wife, like at the T-shirt diner over on in the Sunset Galleria Mall.
Yeah.
So yeah, I make shirts she will never wear in public. There's nothing inappropriate on them, just stuff that, unless it's got the kids on it. But I got a good zinger. I got a zinger for her this year. I should show.
So you made one for Christmas for your wife. Okay, during the break, maybe you want to show us show and tell time. Okay, coming up
she
next.
Never watches.
Coming up, yeah, I know that's right. They're never fans like that. Coming up next, we've got predictions. We've got locks of the night. And don't forget, it's our much anticipated What the Friday. It's all coming up ahead. It is right here on Locked On Golden Knights. You're hanging out with some friends. You're putting back a few drinks. A few becomes a few too many. As the evening comes to an end and people start to head out, you think of calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. Make it home okay. It is no big deal. What are the odds of you getting pulled over anyway? And even so, what's the worst that could happen? Your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you lose your job, you total your car, you kill someone. Oh man, everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that still doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel while under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now. They're looking for impaired drivers everywhere on our roadways here in the Valley, and they want to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, please think again. Play it safe, plan ahead to get a ride. It only takes one mistake to change your entire life or someone else's forever. Drive sober or get pulled over. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. And again, please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. We are on Twitter at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G, and at Locked On VGK. So, last night, let's point out, HSK loses to the Firebirds 3-2 in a shootout. Did you go?
No, I didn't go. I wanted to, but it's such a busy week with my personal business and stuff. But I was sweating the game a little bit, just kind of watching the action and stuff. And Brossoit, another serviceable start, 2 goals, then the shootout. Who cares about that?
Yeah.
Spencer Fu finally gets a goal. He's been a lot of fun to watch at that level. I've enjoyed watching him. I don't think he's a candidate to ever necessarily crack the VGK roster. I believe he's drafted by the Flames, bouncing around a little bit, but he's a fun player to watch. Nice to see him get one. And Gage Quinney got another goal. Quinney's been on a roll lately too. Quinney has been on an absolute roll with the HSK over the last 2 weeks.
Okay, this is a long weekend for the VGK. So let's first talk about this game, and then how do you think they're going to lay out the weekend as far as practices and what have you? The team
They're not going to practice at all. They never practice.
They'll practice on Monday, you think? They'll have a 2-day weekend, you think, after tonight's game?
The NHL probably has some type of mandated freeze where teams cannot schedule something from XYZ day to XYZ day. Honestly, I would bet that there is a freeze after tonight's games and they can't do anything until Tuesday. I could be wrong when I say this. They can probably travel on Monday, but my bet is they probably can't even practice on Monday, at least as a unit. Again, I could be wrong when I say that, but they usually do these freezes where they just do that on purpose. So it's an equal playing field. Teams get their time off. Again, I could be wrong, but at least Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, obviously, we know nothing's happening.
Okay, I want to do my lock of the. Whoa. Geez, a Kolasar puck just flew through the living room. I'm going to take Kolasar for one of my locks of the night, and I'm going to go with Riley Smith.
How long were you planning that? How long were you planning that for? That's what I want to know.
Did you see that puck?
I saw
through?
the puck. The puck did make it, Tony. We don't have to shoot that again. The puck did successfully make it there. So
Asco slays it. I've been practicing that one. Yeah.
You've been Is that your second pair of glasses? I want to talk a little more about the game, and after I do my locks here, I was looking at some odds and stuff. I'm actually a little more concerned about the game now after what I just looked at. So Pietrangelo, revenge game, old team. Let's take him as one of the locks, and then Miramonov. Let's go with the defenseman. Let's go with the defenseman tonight. Let's go on the defensive side. That'll be fun. Pietrangelo, Miramonov. That should be good for 3 points between those two gentlemen. We'll do that. Game prediction. 5-1 VGK. It has to happen, right? It's got to happen. A game like tonight, 5-1 VGK. Let's just roll with that. That's my prediction. There you go.
Okay. Now you're talking about
people are giving me crap because I keep predicting a VGK to lose. So they're gonna. I'm a get right game tonight. 5-1. Come in, slay it, and get out of here. Although I'm going against what I'm about to say in a second. So go ahead.
Okay, I'll go VGK 3-1 in this game. I just don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. And I think there's going to be more tight checking, which we haven't seen much of late. Some of these dog teams VGK is playing because it's fixed.
So just did a little walk down odds lane right now here. Oddly enough, we're only minus 165 tonight, which that seems like a relatively.
I think that's heavy.
I don't know. I mean, if VGK is in form right now, isn't this like a minus? Aren't we like minus 190 or 200 in a spot like this? I don't know. It feels a little bit tight, and the fact that the American public is a 65-35 split according to covers on the VGK side. This is a prime metric. If I'm wearing my betting hat right now, I'm gonna I love when the public is a 2-1 on one side, and I can get right around that plus 120 to 140 range. So that's a metric that I love if I'm actually firing, a lot of bets in a night, just to fire on 4 or 5 underdogs. It's a great spot to bet the Blues, and I hate to say that, but That said, I mean, I'm going to take the homer perspective tonight. I really think VGK gets right in this game, but after looking at the odds and things like that, and where the public is thinking and where the books are thinking, I'm not as sold that this is going to be the route that I want it to be.
The Arizona game the other night, what did VGK go off at? I thought that they were like minus 150, which I thought was kind of low.
No. That was a big one. That was a big split.
It was over
like
two?
close to 300. It was like
300.
290, 300. It was big. Yeah,
What was
it
I
was
looking at? Okay.
it was big, and then obviously the odds shrank a little bit because the game was tied for a long time. But they're always against Arizona huge. But when VGK and credit Sinbin for running these stats a lot. When VGK is a big favorite like this, it's not always a favorable ending.
No, they never do well. I seem to think that I think it's always a good chance, possibility to take a dog. St. Louis comes in relatively healthy, for this game, other than Cairo. And if he's doubtful, he was working out off the ice. If he doesn't have a concussion, then I think we might see him tonight. I really do feel that. Coming up next, we've got What the Friday. What the Friday's coming up. Again, we've got some comments, and of course, we'll add some things too, things that made us say WTF. That's all ahead right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. You can find our podcast wherever it's available, wherever you get your podcast, and make sure that you please subscribe to our YouTube channel. All you have to do is ring that bell, subscribe right there on our YouTube channel. And little Chris upstaged me in a big way yesterday.
That was funny.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a good time. Like I said, he loves like going through the standings, and he looks at the plus minus ratios now. I told him that's, in my opinion, it's an important number, especially for the team, not necessarily the individual plus minus, but and on the car ride today, he wants me to surprise him. He has, and again, my kid doesn't gamble. Let's be clear on this, folks. But he is, ever since Fiesta was demolished near my house, he has this affinity for Stations casinos and learning about them. Huh. So like yesterday we did a drive through Red Rock, had lunch, and they got to play for a little bit there. And today he wants me to surprise him with a Stations casino mystery. So we're gonna go to one of the ones he hasn't been to yet. He wants to walk around, see the layout and stuff, and he loves Red Rock, seeing the Durango model and things like that. So I mean, he might, like, a Vegas historian could be the path for little Chris.
That's cool.
About educating people about the history of Las Vegas. So that's
some cool history. Yeah, there's some cool history. And here it's in Henderson, where the old Fiesta Henderson was located. And that's going to become a big sports complex because the city of Henderson bought it. And I hope that they
4 minutes from my house. It's great.
Are they going to add more sheets of ice? That would be really
I don't think so. I don't think so. That would,
they should.
It would be nice to see another sheet of ice go up that does not have a VGK affiliation, to be honest. And I don't mean that in a bad way by any means whatsoever, but just to differentiate a little bit. You have LVIC and Fiesta. Fiesta is to be determined right now how long that's going to be, how long that sheet of ice is going to be there. Once that property is sold, the new developer is going to decide if the ice is going to stay or not. I put it at minus 250. The ice rink is going to be gone because it doesn't make a lot of money, unfortunately. At least that's my guess, that particular one. But yeah, it'd be good if Henderson did. But I mean, I don't know. Henderson's, call it what it is. They're kind of in bed with VGK and HSK like everybody is on the planet as far as a business deal goes. So I don't think they want to compete with them either.
Okay, it's time for WTF. I have got to throw in at XREB_FanX. Next edition on Locked On. Number one, Chris makes a case for Maramonov sticking around even if White Cloud returns. Number two, Tony launches into a tirade that VGK's gold helmets should be banned because they blind opponents. Number three, Chris questions his life choices that paired him with Tony.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
WTF.
That's pretty good. That got stronger the deeper we went there.
That's pretty good. WTF, I've got one. I feel that the funk has not worn off yet. Please lose a game with those gold chrome helmets. If they wear them tonight, they've got to lose. They're absolutely hideous. I mean, I'm no fashion expert. I wear shirts that are homemade that say Dasco slays it and all that.
I'm wearing the same shirt as yesterday.
Are they are they superstitious? Yes. Why wear these again? these gold helmets that no one likes. The gold domes are just absolutely hideous. I think even Bill Foley said that he doesn't like them either. And again, they wasted them. Oh, wow. Big splash. Gold helmets against the stinking Coyotes. You don't need any superstition to win that game with a team that is 4 for its last 50 on the power play. Absolutely hideous. Get rid of the gold domes. WTF.
So in response, not a WTF, just in response, well, yeah, we can make a WTF out of this. So I'm not superstitious whatsoever. I don't do weird things or whatever when things are going well or whatever. But when I am at the craps table, if I got the dice in my hand and one of the two happens, bad things happen. If the beverage server brings me a drink, or if my wife comes by, it's always 61 outs. It is always 61, 7 outs. Clear the bets, take the line, pay the don'ts. So WTF when my wife comes by, when I'm rolling dice, or when the beverage server comes by. A WTF for myself, actually. I was going to actually blast VGK because if you remember, about a year ago now, when they were having the All-Star Skills Challenge here in Las Vegas, I was reffing hockey on Water Street that day, actually, before I went down Henderson Lifeguard Arena, and it was closed off. I'm like, why is this area closed off? There was a rink set up outside, just on the asphalt, and they were shooting a promo for a new ball hockey rink that the Vegas Golden Knights announced that was going to be somewhere in the valley. I've heard nothing about that in a while. I was talking to a few people at the game on Monday. I've heard nothing about that. So I was about to blast VGK for not following through on this in a timely manner. But it looks like in October, they actually announced that construction is going to start shortly and it's going to be ready sometime in early 2023. The location is 333 West Washington Avenue. So somewhere up north.
It's the north.
Yeah, it's in north. So I was going to blast.
Yeah.
So I was going to blast VGK, but I'll blast myself for not following through until the 11th hour, so to speak, before I went on. So there you go.
Our guy Sholey, poor Tony gets no love. I blame the fog. What the Friday? No love for at Tony Dasco. Tiny Chris stole the show, bud.
Oh, my son, that's awesome. That's funny. Sorry, I'm scratching my eye there. It's early.
Okay, I've got another WTF. Snake bitten. We have to talk about snake bitten. That was the theme of the week. WTF. Chris mentions it to players, including Chandler Stevenson in the locker room. And then he comes out and says, Stone is not going to be snake bitten forever. I even put the recipe for snake bite shots on our at Locked On VGK.
You go back
Twitter
on Twitter more often, I think.
Dude, you need to be on Twitter. Come on, man. I put up a bunch of good stuff yesterday. WTF, blah, 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 blah. Oh, there was a good scrap, Savannah Ghost Pirates. That was a good thing. Okay, new drink idea for T-Mobile Arena for the menu, snake bite shots. 1 part whiskey, 1 part liqueur, or lime juice. Hashtag snake bite, WTF.
A little bit of green food coloring. That could be fun, actually.
All right, you should be doing those, man. Start the revolution.
The problem is they'll charge $20 for it. I mean, they do this at the HSK games, like a sangria, and they'll color it for like theme nights and stuff. It's like $22, but you get to keep the glass. So the plastic ware, whatever the heck it comes in. WTF for Santa Dasco. I was on Twitter yesterday. I
saw this, and it does look strikingly familiar there.
My wife actually said this. It looked like you, but the nose here is bigger on this one. But I don't know. Your nose is pretty. It's pretty close, Tony.
Thanks, brother.
It's pretty. Hey, Amanda said it, not me. I didn't say it. She's the one that made the comment about the nose.
Thanks, Amanda. But we're so kind on the show. All right,
this is what we walk into at the mall yesterday. Of course, I'm doing my 11th hour shopping. Normally, I wait till Christmas Eve, so I was actually early this year, and I walked by with my kids, and there's the dog and Santa, and the best part is you got this lady back there squeaking a toy and doing all the things like you do to get your 2-year-old to smile for a picture. She's doing this with her blankety blank dog. Like this dog follows this person anywhere she goes, and I don't think this dog qualifies as a service animal. It's got a freaking bow on its head. Maybe it does. And if it's this person's service animal, I'm sorry for being insensitive to you. We got to be so careful nowadays with what we say. But if that's a service dog, I don't know. If that's not a service dog, it's wearing a freaking, they've got a tutu on it. It's got a tutu. It's got a tutu on its neck.
Yeah,
is that a wreath? What is going on here, Tony?
I don't know what's happening there.
Yeah, you do. It was on your lap.
So I was. What should
we name the dog? What should we name the dog?
So back in the day at Marquee Town Nightclub, it was at Town Nightclub, and they asked me to be Santa because it was one of our customers that I dealt with. It was a client of ours, and they said, "Will you be Santa for like an hour and a half?" And I'm like, "Sure," but I didn't tell anyone because I'm no paparazzi. So I have friends that I know that are literally there, like sitting on my lap, that they didn't know it was me until afterwards.
Where's Dasco?
And so Dasco actually had, okay, this is Las Vegas, folks. Sometimes it's a family show, sometimes it isn't. There's strippers sitting on my lap and piled up, and then Paulie Shore comes over and he's sitting on the top of my head. And I wish I had a photo about that, but I was Santa one time and that was it. And there were some photos circulating, but no one knew it was me, which was even more awesome. I took the glasses off and the beard and everything, and the hat was down, a la Chandler Stevenson. So that was cool. WTF, AT&T Sportsnet. Okay, VGK's on the power play the other night, and you want to talk about funky. They had this funky angle that they wouldn't get out of. That was from, what section are you in? 217. 217.
So basically, if
it was from the corner upstairs.
Yeah, that's my shot. That's the only upstairs camera. That's the only upstairs camera.
Absolute worst. It's good to show that, okay, a little bit here and there.
It's the reaction shot. That's what that camera operator's primary job is, reactions. I've talked to them a lot. After a goal, they zoom in on the goalie, they zoom in on one of the coaches or a player. That is the primary purpose of that camera up there.
And so they kept it on for a while during the power play. And so you just couldn't follow the puck enough. It was just
that's a tough spot for TV. It's great for watching, but for TV, I get that. I like the power play, and I don't think you like this, but I like when they use the angle from right behind the net, right above the glass. I actually love that angle on the power play. It really gives you a perspective of what the goalie sees and how fast the puck moves. And, come to think of it, I don't think I've ever seen Santa and Tony Cordasco in the same place before, folks.
What about me, Santa, and Paulie Shore? No.
Paulie Shore's been everywhere.
It was actually pretty funny. And then, so that's my WTF there. And then, of course, WTF, this team is always home for the holidays. Does the dictator just go into the NHL meetings and go, there's a rule, okay? I am the dictator, and we do not play on the road during the holidays. There will be, what's 9 months from now? There will be more like baby nights floating around here after this big weekend. I'm telling you right now.
William Karlsson.
Oh man, there could be.
They'll be on. Let's see. So they'll be on reverse retro 6.7 by then, because there's gonna be one every year now because it makes money.
We've got. Again, Shawley had something good too. Where did all these slap shots around the league come from? Have you noticed more slap shots scoring goals around the league?
Never thought about that. WTF. Never thought about that, I guess. I mean, sure. I don't know. That's what I miss are on the shootouts or penalty shots. There was a time where players came down and they got 18 feet from the goalie and cranked a full slap shot. Like even Marian Hossa, who's not that type of player, has done it. I would love to see someone just do that. It's like, okay, who would be the best? Nick Hague. There you go. If Nick Hague, for whatever reason, ever gets a penalty shot, he'd be the one just to get about 12 feet from the goalie and go full Hager bomb. And he'd probably hit the goalie right in the head. The goalie would fall face back first on the ice. It would hit the goalies in the helmet again and roll in or something like that. That's the only way he's ever going to get a shootout or a what's the word? A penalty shot goal. Not my WTF, but I think it's worth mentioning. Silver Knights, I do notice on the game reports they're announcing 4,500 people at the games. You just watch video highlights or, things like that, there's not 4,500 people at these games. And I'm not necessarily, well, I guess I'm going to put on HSK because, for whatever reason, you got this beautiful arena. Location maybe is, we can start as, I was actually teaching Christopher and Allie, my daughter, about location yesterday. And I always remind them a lot of times when it comes to business, everything comes down to money. And then we talked about location, boring dad, son, daughter conversations. I'm sure everyone understands how those go sometimes. But, I just wish HSK could figure this out because VGK is a dynamite ticket still. And it's not as dynamite as it was. I'll go again tonight. I'll do a look around the lower bowl about 5-6 minutes into the game, and I'm curious how many open seats are going to be there. And there's a concern right now, I think. And my buddy Chris Condos, actually, I'll give him credit for this. He talked about this a couple of years ago. At some point, the bubble could pop as far as ticket sales goes, resale, and just people maybe whether it's not having a winning product on the ice, although VGK is winning right now, even in this recent funk. HSK slow starts. Are people not going to HSK games because of the results, or is there more to it? Do they not like Dollar Loan Center Arena? There's issues with the pricing in there and the concessions. Do they not like driving to Green Valley?
Parking, you have to pay for parking if
you got to pay between $12 and $15 to park.
Yeah,
which, of all things, I mean, if that's the one thing that people keep going back to, you pay to park in almost every other arena on the planet. And if you're weighing the difference of, it was cool because the Orleans was fun because we didn't have to pay to park there. It was a dump. Call it what it is. That for a hockey rink, that was an absolute dump the way the arena was. But I will give a ton of credit to people that worked at the Orleans being very nice every time. Like not the HSK people are great too, but there's people that run the Orleans you could see down there for the games. All the security personnel welcoming you. Like it was a fine environment, but the rink itself was an absolute dump. The ice was garbage. The everything was bad about it, but the parking was free. So woo! Like if that's what VGK fans are hanging their hats on, the big difference here, I don't get it. So I'm curious. Curious what the plan is for HSK to get more physical people there, because they're showing about 80% occupancy nightly, maybe even a little bit more. But you go to a game, you're not going to see that, folks, unless something weird happens. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I park, of course, covertly if I do go to an event where I have to pay like that, because I'm just a local and I'm spoiled. And whatever happened to WTF, whatever happened to the pedestrian bridges they promised us there over Green Valley Parkway and such?
Oh, really? I don't remember that, but
initial plans were for these pedestrian bridges.
They want people. They probably don't want people to park over there.
And they also had,
the district probably said no.
They also had a tunnel concept where you go underground, so you could go underground to park. Go back. Seriously, they did this during the pandemic, and a lot of folks, I don't think, were very much aware. Nor did the locals have a voice in that building. That's another story. So, Chris, we wish you and your family very best wishes, holiday wishes. Merry Christmas. Yes,
everybody. Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
And then Merry Christmas, of course, to everyone that watches us, especially those that download this stinking show every day, WTF. It just amazes
me. My WTF is to the people that actually watch us every day.
we really do appreciate all of you. And thank you for making Locked On Golden Knights your first listen. And of course, make sure to check out Locked On Sports Today for the biggest stories around the sports world in 20 minutes or less. And it's free and available wherever you get your podcast. For my man, Chris Golick, for Junior Chris. See you around there? No? He's upstaging me again. I'm Tony Cardasco. We thank you all for tuning in. Have the very best holiday. We'll see you again next week right here on Locked On Golden Knights.